Well, hello guys. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to be talking about one of my favorite topics of all time, and that is the seven pillars of the success framework. How do you go about building this foundation? And let me tell you something. A lot of you don't understand the importance of the topic. So before we dive into it, let's see why I love talking about the success framework and why I spend years in developing my own one. First of all, understanding the power of fear and limiting belief. Once you realize that anything you want in life is on the other side of fear, and anytime you realize that we have a baggage of limiting belief, you start dealing and diving with these elements that are holding you back in a way that you free yourself from these obstacles and you start really looking at what is it that you need to do to make that leap of faith and jump. So once you start getting into that process of cleansing yourself and removing anything that is not serving you, now you're starting to dive into what is it that I need to do? What mindset do I have to adapt, to adopt, to be able to build this success framework? And then you have to build your foundation. You cannot build a house without really understanding how strong the terrain is. And therefore, that, by doing so, you will be able to build your foundation. And then your purpose. What is it that you're put on this planet to do? What is your passion? What is your calling? Unfortunately, this question, I find it to be the one that is the most unknown by most people because they don't really take time to think about what they want out of this life and where they are aligned and what is it that they were put on this planet to do. One of the answers that I hear from so many of my clients is that I always do what I have to do, or I am always doing what I'm expected to do from a social standpoint, from a family standpoint. So we all are put in situations where a lot of what we do is out of duty and obligation. So we don't really have a time or opportunity to think about it. And let me tell you this, from culture to culture, because I am in a multicultural landscape, from culture to culture, I find that to be so true in communities and societies and cultures that are more um, patriarchal, traditional, conservative than those of the regular modern society, if you wish, where individuals have the right and the freedom for self expression. So we need to be a little more mindful about that and look into your family, your society, the expectation around you. Because if you are coming from like families like mine and a culture and society like mine, the likelihood of you really understanding and diving into this question is very, very little. So most of us do what we are expected to do. So you need really to change that. And then success is predictable. You really have to understand that success is not luck. Success doesn't just happen. Whatever the meaning you attach to success, you have to understand there is like a whole theory of it, and there are tools and teachable tools actually that help you determine the likelihood of success happening or not happening. So success is not luck or just a coincidence. Success is something you can predict. And we will dive into how you can predict success in shortly here. So, what will you learn from this discussion here, this session? How to build your foundation. Again, I will never emphasize enough that the foundation is everything. A lot of career individuals, um, people in general, they jump into new jobs, move into new places, life, marriage, businesses, entrepreneurship, without really taking the time to develop their foundation and know themselves, which actually is the recipe for disaster. Because the second they start running into obstacles, they just crush and everything falls apart. So foundation is everything. No matter what you want to do in life, you must, absolutely must build the foundation for yourself. And then changes, you have to find a way, a formula, if you wish, to build lasting changes. The whole idea of New Year resolution is a huge failure because it's not change that is lasting. People wake up January 1st and they're like, oh, I'm going to start working out today, without really creating a whole system, a lifestyle, if you wish, around that change. So the New Year resolution usually lasts maybe a week or two. So be careful with that and be mindful. And in here, I'm going to give you a couple of tips that you can make these changes everlasting, or at least you will build a consistency with these changes. And then you have to set yourself for success. I mean, it's your duty, it's your responsibility to try to achieve the most you can out of this life. And it is your responsibility to create success for yourself. So, how do we learn about success? And I'm sharing, of course, my personal experience here, years of observation and self-education. Even though I have extensive traditional education degrees and diplomas and whatever certifications, I do not believe that those have been the best at teaching me about success. I think my own journey in personal growth and self-education is really what did it for me. So how do I do that? I pay attention, I observe, I study, I analyze. That I love doing that. And I understand what did people do to become successful, and I observe those patterns. So here is an exercise for you. You can make a list of the people you know in your circle or people you follow, and those who you think are successful with your own standard, and kind of try to see what is it that they do, listen to how they talk, how they achieve success, their sacrifices, and everything they have to do. So people are different, and our definition of success is different from one person to another. So find these people that for you are successful and see how they achieved it. And then the other thing that I love is learning through conversing. I am a big on that. I believe that our learning experiences as human come from the conversation we hold with each other. This is why I wrote a book, The Power of Elite Interviews, where I'm sharing everything that I learned from interviewing elites. I was very fascinated and interested in success, entrepreneurship. So I went ahead and started a pod show where I interview those people exactly to learn about their why and their obstacles and how they found their calling, etc., etc. Best way to learn about success is to interview successful people so you can learn more about it in the Power of Elite Interviews that is available on Amazon. And then from your observation, from your conversation, what are you going to do with all that? Well, guess what? You can model it. Once you have an understanding, a pattern developed by or from what you have learned from all the people you have been studying and analyzing and observing, then now it's time to model it. What is it that you feel can fit with your own lifestyle? Again, I go back to saying that people are different. So what might work for you might not work for me, and so on. So we have to be mindful and aware about who we are first to be able to adapt a style that works best for us. What are the 7 pillars of the success framework? I actually can have more than 7 or less than 7. You can develop your own framework, but I love the number 7 because for me, it's the number of completion. And I just went like 7 days a week. And then what every day you can think about, and I fit in it that way. So again, it is open to changing it. And if you want to have more pillars, you can, less you can. But for me, 7 is the perfect number of completion. So I'll stick with that. So my first one is actually faith. I believe that faith is the center of everything. And when I talk about faith, I don't get into religious beliefs, the do's and the don'ts, because faith to me is a connection you have with your higher self and your higher power. You can call it whatever you want, but faith is what really gives you that foundation, the anchor that holds you back, that holds you together. So Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, which is a very well-known book that I highly recommend you guys take a look at. I have a number of copies and I cannot tell you how many times I've read it. He says that faith is a state of mind which may be included or created by affirmation or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind. So it's almost like you train your subconscious mind to having anchors such as affirmations of gratitude. For instance, you do that by repeating gratitude affirmations at different times of the day, or attracting or creating vibrations and attractions on different things that are important to you. And this is found in all religions, by the way, and all spiritual lives and entities, in a sense, that people really have in every single belief system a set of affirmations. Very, very important. So you can actually Google some, or you can create your own. I, for sure, like to blend different affirmations from my own religion, and then the ones that I kind of hear from people that I follow, that I am influenced by, and then I modify them a little bit, and then I make them my own. And I have actually written them in a little post-its like this, and then I kind of stick them everywhere. That way I remind myself of these at every moment that I can. So that's how important the vibration you create through these affirmation is, and that becomes your faith or your belief system, your anchor. So yes, traditionally people might think that fear is a big obstacle, and it's an old way of thinking, and fear can stop you. But here is the thing: you can look into fear as an opportunity. And trust me when I tell you, like, the more you develop your faith, the less fear you have. So you need really to grow the faith side and focus on your mindset. The mindset is really everything that can make you or break you. So how do you build the mindset? So now you talked about faith, right? The faith is that emotional side, is speaking to the gut and the heart. And then now you're going to speak into your brain, and you build that mindset, that anchor, a stronger even anchor that's founded in faith. But now you're rationalizing everything from what is your why. You really have to have a why. Why do you want to write a book? Why do you want to start a business? Why do you want to move to America? Why do you want to learn English? Why do you want to build a house, have kids and family? And unfortunately, a lot of us go through the hallways of life without even thinking about the why. And so again, I go back to saying, when you don't build this foundation, anytime you have an obstacle, it becomes a curse as opposed to a blessing. Knowing your why, anytime you have an obstacle, you see it more as a challenge to make sure that the why is very much anchored in who you are. You need to set up goals. You cannot go through life or in life without setting up goals. And the goal has to match your why you do what you do. Then you build a set of goals that actually serve your why. Focus, we are all guilty of it. Distractions. Again, go back New Year's Eve, we have all some resolutions, we write them down, and then week later, 2 weeks later, instead of going to the gym, we're going to the kitchen and to the cabinet and kind of grabbing some food, and here we go, we lost focus. Focus is what keeps you on track. And how do you build focus? With reminders. You can't just tell yourself, I'm going to achieve X, Y, and Z without going back and revisiting. And then you prioritize and you do a visual board. Actually, the vision board and the prioritization, I'm going to do another session, because just this one is huge, a huge segment of what you need really to be paying attention. So I am going to be doing another session on how to create a vision board and write a declaration, because this is kind of a big chapter of building this mindset and this success. And then think bigger. If you don't have bigger goals, bigger dreams, you are not going to get motivated. So the success habits, again, sharing my own experience, I identify the successful patterns that I try to incorporate in my daily life. Journaling is a very important part. I try to create balance, balancing between my sleep, my eating habit, my lifestyle, the time that I play and the time that I work. That way I don't get really fed up. I don't want to be a workaholic who doesn't really get pleasure out of life. And then you look into the success trends. Wake up early, for instance, for me, that works really nice, because I love it when I'm done working out, meditating, praying by 7 a.m. And then I get to work at a time when most people are waking up. So for me, that really is my jam, and I love doing that. Drinking a lot of water. I find it really that a lot of people don't. They maybe drink a glass a day. That definitely not enough. Sleeping is not enough. Time off is not enough. So you have to see, the different things that really help you get this, harmonious, balanced life. And then you need to celebrate success. Stop focusing all on the negative things, everything that's going wrong in the world. And if you have achieved one good thing, like for instance, in 2021, I wrote my book, The Power of Elite Interviews. And that is a celebration. And I am proud that I published my first book and it is out and people are buying it and thinking the world of it. So celebrate, take a moment to celebrate what you have accomplished and see how you got there. That way you can mimic and model that success over and over again. And then get a mentor. To be honest with you, I would not be doing everything that I'm doing if I didn't have mentors, I would say. So I have different mentors for different things, and that, my friend, is simply priceless. Get organized, plan your work and work your plan, set up smart goals, you prioritize. And then this is something that I have to emphasize quite a bit, is build a relationship with your calendar. Your calendar is not like just to remind you of appointment. Your calendar is really the extension of your mind, where you need to see everything you're doing. I will also do a session on that, so stay tuned on that. And then when you set up your time, create always buffer time. And buffer time is a time you do not need, but it's there in case you're on out of time. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So make sure you actually plan your life pretty well. Incorporate some exercising and meditation and listen to your body. So if you are tired and exhausted and you want to sleep in a little more, try to give your body that break. And then community, very important. How do you build community? Through mastermind and networking, following influencers. Don't waste your time with the haters and the naysayers. They're not going to get you where you want to be, so don't worry about them. And then of course, locate and find your tribe and connect with them. Accountability goes back to consistency, being mindful. And the way you do it is through yourself first. You cannot just wait for the right person to come into your life to be your accountable partner. You can actually start with yourself, which is easy to do. Just a journal, write down your goals, write down your dreams, write down what you do, your habits, etc. And then make changes anytime something doesn't work. But keep yourself in check. And then have an accountability partner. I know that I have one. I've always had one. And I have been grateful for these people that I met through my life that have been my accountability partners. We meet weekly, we hold each other accountable, we vent, we bitch, we do everything we need to do to get us through the moment of joy, happiness, frustration, anger, confusion, and everything in between, and definitely set up goals and share our achievement. And then coaches and mentors, again, priceless. So in a summary, our my success framework that I would like to share with you here has faith at its foundation, the mindset, the habits, the daily habits you have to build, the organization, the physiology and the physicality of your body, the community, and the accountability. So, with this, we are done talking about the success framework. Make sure you DM me at Shabadad Shams on Instagram if you have any questions. I hope this session has been super, super helpful, and I will see you on the next one. Love.